All right, I figure we'll venture into a part 3 on the animal rights discussion, or our natural place in the universe, however you want to look at it. We'll just see where it goes based on the comments posted again. So there was one good comment here. I mean, it was long, but it's got a lot of stuff in it to argue with. All right, so it's I think you're trying to argue against humans eating animals and not being part of nature. No, I'm arguing that, well, number one, it's not our nature to eat animals. Gorillas don't eat animals. Even chimpanzees, a tiny, tiny percentage of their diet might be something they killed. And we're not even sure if that psychology is something they've acquired in the last 20 years rather than something they've always had. Watching humans. But anyway, on with this. You said there is no rules of ethics in nature, and humans aren't part of nature. Then you said if it weren't for rats, we wouldn't be here. You have an unexplained disconnect here. No, I don't have a disconnect here. Rats didn't invent the condom. We did. Okay, we've broken the natural rules. We're no longer part of nature because we have 10,000 years of acquired knowledge. We have modeled the universe in our heads. We understand the systems. We have incredible amount of knowledge compared to the average little animal walking around. We know what the stars are now. We know what the moon is. We know what the sun is. We know what the earth is. It's a whole different ballgame for us. We're outside of what nature has built. Every other organism is living based on just desires and drives that are built into the animal. They have no capacity to understand the context of those desires and needs and fears or any of that. They can't scrutinize it. They can't judge it. They can't understand it. They can't do anything with it. We can. So yes, we're outside of nature's grip. I really shouldn't have to explain to you. We are the only organism like this on planet Earth. We're the only organism that's ever existed in 4 billion years that has this capacity. Yes, we are a little different. Ugh, God. At what point did humans become something other than part of nature? I don't know. You could draw lots of points. Fire or condom or, I don't know, indoor plumbing. I mean, there's lots of points you could say that we've really stepped beyond. Penicillin, come on. When they harnessed fire, when they made their first spear, invented the internal combustion engine long before humans. T-Rex was top land predator. Now humans are top predator. Well, we're not a predator. We're not T-Rex. Okay, we don't have chompy, grab things and chew them to pieces teeth. We have eat leaves and shit teeth, idiot. So, and the same for our digestive system. We don't have a T-Rex digestive system. We can't digest raw meat, you idiot. So obviously you have to have fire before meat's even useful. Unless you find it all dried up on the desert, then you might be able to gnaw on it. Anyway, predator. We're not a predator. Except we have engineered our food sources to breed, grow, and be easily led to our slaughterhouses. Whatever. We didn't breed them to be any of that, but whatever. We've bred them to obviously maximize our capacity to exploit them. Yes, and that's an open question. It's not even open in my opinion. It's quite obviously insidious. We could obviously breed our own kind to be slaves, to be drones to some master race. We could play that game. There's nothing in nature stopping us. What stops us is ethical understanding that it's an abuse and a horror. And I'm just telling you, quite frankly, human beings will, the future, if there is a future, we survive the idiots, the fucktards like you, if we can prevent you from destroying this place, the future will not look kindly on you. You will be a baboon in their perception. You will be a disgusting creature, and humiliation and embarrassment, because you couldn't understand something as simple as pain and suffering, and that it is the value in the universe. The universe means nothing without that component. If you take pain and suffering out of the universe, everything's gone. All meaning is gone. and it's moderating and controlling how much of that bad, how much of that negative we allow to be experienced is the real tale. That's our definition. Our value, it will be defined by our interaction with that component of nature, the capacity to feel. Anyway. If T-Rex could have done that, do you think it would have? I bet it would. Yeah, well, whatever. T-Rex had a peanut for a brain. Okay, as I said, we have civilization. We understand the context of our existence, and we can now appreciate that feelings, the ones we have, the sensibilities that we have, our vulnerability, our capacity to suffer, is equally felt by others. Okay, in the living community, not only other humans but other animals, and that just as we would want to protect ourselves from harm, we rationally should see the value in protecting others from harm. And ideally, logically, there's really no distinction between my suffering and your suffering and the suffering of something else. It's all suffering. It doesn't matter who's doing the suffering. All that matters is that the suffering is being done. And we, as intelligent organisms, should do everything we can to mitigate and moderate and prevent unnecessary suffering. God, you're dumb. I don't care. That's the key sentence right there. I love when people say that. I don't care, because that's the definition of your humanity. You don't care. Perfect. If you choose to eat leaves or grass or nuts and berries or pickled mouse testicles, whatever, I don't care when someone gets the idea that that it's their duty to change everyone into vegetarians or vegans. Look, it's my duty to express what I understand as the truth about our unproductive nature, our unproductive behavior. That's my opinion. It's my argument. It's my intelligence speaking. All right? And you don't have to care what it says. But if you're going to demonstrate that you have some counterpoint, you have to do it with something more than I don't care. That's not an argument. It's not logical. It doesn't mean anything to somebody with a thinking mind. I can't do anything with I don't care. Anyway, wild animals eat each other all the time, and so what? That's an excuse. Like I said, why don't you just defend viruses then? Why don't you just defend everything that nature ever produced and say, yes, it's wonderful? Nature's a dumb system. Do I have to go through this again? It started with a reproducing machine. That's all the first life form was. All it did was consume enough and then reproduce itself. That's the mechanism. And everything else is just a fancy version of the same thing, okay? That's all that's inside. That's the heartbeat of every living thing, is just this mechanical device seeking to reproduce itself, okay? Consumption and reproduction, all right? It's rather insidious, okay? Especially, like I said, when you combine the faculty of sensibility. Once animals become feeling organisms, this becomes hugely important. I mean, it's completely meaningless if you have some little device consuming the moon, for example. Who cares? It can consume it for a zillion years and it's completely irrelevant. All right? But it becomes relevant if there are feeling organisms involved in that consumption and reproduction. And you have to be a complete fucking idiot not to appreciate that and not to care. God damn. Humans eat carefully raised, perfectly cooked, yeah, I don't think everybody perfectly cooks their food. 10,000 people a year die from unperfectly cooked food. Delicious meat of various types, and don't need to chase it to eat it. I don't even know what chasing has to do with the argument, and I don't see what it has to do with the definition of food. Like I said, we are primates. 99% of all primates have the substance of their diet is vegetarian. So I don't know where you're going with this argument. We're not being obedient to our nature, to how we were, for most of our evolution, what we were, in being meat eaters. And it's much more efficient to eat the vegetable matter rather than the flesh, because the vegetables don't feel, and you can get 90%, well, no, it's like 20 or 30%, 30 times more yield in calories. You can optimize the value of the food by directly eating it rather than eating the animal. Idiot. Okay, where were we? Chase it. Okay, it seems to me humans are a huge part of nature. Are, in capital letters, a huge part of nature, and we make it work for us one way or another. Well, that's really doesn't matter. That's not the equation. You don't judge how the balance of consciousness in the universe by just seeing how it affects one tiny part of consciousness. So unless you're prepared to say all the other organisms aren't conscious and don't feel anything, how it's working out for humans really isn't the game, idiot. Are increasingly careful, sometimes to the point of stupidity, to protect wild animals. Well, I don't see where you're talking about this protection. There's idiots who love animals. You know, they have this emotional thing, and yeah, they'll go out there and say, "Oh, you can't let none of the animals die. You can't let none of the animals go extinct." And so, yeah, I'm not one of those idiots. Okay, I don't give a fuck whether whales exist or not. I don't think whales give a fuck about whether whales exist or not. They care about the same thing we care about. I'm hungry. I'm horny. Okay. They'd wear condoms if they could figure out how to do it. You know, I mean, they don't give a fuck about whether or not there's whales tomorrow. All right, so I'm not some whatever tree hugger. All I care about is how consciousness and vulnerability and harm is distributed in our world. I don't give a fuck about what exists and what doesn't. Chase it, to eat it, blah, 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 stupid, blah, blah. We are also the only creatures on Earth that set up charitable organizations for humans and animals. Whatever. I mean, what good charitable organizations are doing in the world is a really open question. A lot of it just seems to be people patting each other on the back. You know, they're not solving problems, they're not curing the disease. The bleeding wound isn't getting taken care of. All they're doing is sopping up some blood. So I just say waste of time to that kind of crap. The only argument that works is the idea that humans are an introduced species. Well, you're just really proving your ignorance there. How could you be an introduced... How would an introduced species have 99% of the same genetic code as apes, of the other apes? How would that make any fucking sense whatsoever? I mean, come on. How would those apes have, 95% of the same genetic code as squirrels? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, introduced species. Jesus, where do you get that fucktarded idiotic nonsense? But if you think that, you gotta ask if you are someone... You gotta ask if we are someone's herd of cattle. Well, I don't have to ask that question because it's a stupid premise. Oh yeah, and it would mean that you were crazy too. Yeah, so why'd you bring it up then? It's a pointless argument. It's not one that I introduced into the conversation. It's just one you did. So it's just straw bullshit to throw into the argument. So bravo. Way to defeat your own straw man. Brilliant. Gotta go. My steak is almost done. Yeah, I almost doubt your sincerity there too. I don't know what time this was posted in your country, but it's just more of your gratuitous. I can eat all the meat I want to. I can be as big a fucktard as I want to. Well, fine. Yeah, you have that right. I'm not going to take the right away from you. I'm just going to call you the baboon that you are, the idiot, the moron, the ignorant motherfucker. I'm just going to put on display that this is the best the human race can do, is these fucktards who know nothing, just speak this arrogance out of just pure arrogance, nothing else. Arrogance. Their own preferences and prejudices define their identity. They can't think above their own fucking feelings because they've never turned the logical instrument that is their brain on. You just haven't cracked enough books, Bubba, and you're going to have to do a little better, all right? I'm not going to applaud your existence because you are the definition of failure, human failure. 10,000 years of hard work to understand who and what we are, and this is the best you can do with that knowledge. Incredible. All right, enjoy whatever you think is your ethical dinner, but listen carefully as those soybeans cry out for pain. Yes, oh yeah, right, soybeans feel. Brilliant. It's a great theory. I mean, you can see it. You cut a soybean open, you can see its giant brain. It's just so obvious. God. Idiot. Alright, so then this little guy has the icon of a little turny head of the baby little thing from the stupid cartoon show. I love these cartoon people. So he's saying, he's just arguing with somebody else who says, I'm not a horrible person. He says, of course you do. He's an elitist just like you. Yes, I'm an elitist. Yeah, what do you back that up with? Nothing. You're both pretty convinced that you are right. Well, I wouldn't open my mouth unless I was convinced I was right. You see, that would be really stupid for me to open my mouth and argue on something if I didn't think I was right. It really wouldn't make any fucking sense. And everyone else on the planet is stupid. Well, it's not everyone else, but it's, the majority of people on the planet are dumb motherfuckers. I mean, they believe in little fairies and all kinds of nonsense. I mean, little heavens up in the clouds and, 70 virgins and all kinds of other nonsense they believe in, and they pray to it and they bow to it and they do all this crap to it. So yes, the average human being is a pretty massive fucktard. Go stroke each other off somewhere else. Well, whatever. I'll do it wherever I fucking want to, asshole. Okay, so take your little twisty head some fucking place else. Post another asshole comment like that and I'll just block you. How about that, little twisty head? Jesus. So this guy's got the icon of one of them little fighty rabbits. Yeah, that's a really cute little fighty rabbit. I'm so sorry I wasted 4 minutes on this retard. Yeah, well, see, that's it. You comment without watching all of something. That always shows your credibility and your intelligence. When you have commentary and you're not even willing to watch what you're commentating on. And that kind of comment probably could be posted to any video on the internet, couldn't it? I mean, except for the ones that are less than 4 minutes, of course. But you could just change the 4 minutes to 2 minutes where appropriate, right? So, I mean, bravo. Brilliant argument. Yes, I bow to your superior argumentation, you jackass. Okay, here's an anonymous guy. No photo available. How come anyone that mildly disagrees with him is a fucktard? Mildly disagrees? I mean, these are fundamental disagreements, asshole. They aren't mild disagreements. Okay? I'm basically calling you something just as equally bad as a fucking slave owner. Alright? You're just as ethically depraved. Alright? You fucking sadistic bastards. Yeah, you're sadistic. Why shouldn't I call somebody who's sadistic a fucktard? I mean, sadistic is probably a more offensive term, right? I don't know, but it seems to me it might be. He wants everybody to listen to and respect his opinion. Well, whatever. That's yeah. I make videos and I don't expect people to watch them. I don't want people to watch them. I just make them and expect people just to ignore them and want people to ignore it. I mean, come on, it makes sense. Just not the other way around. Well, what opinion am I supposed to respect of yours? I don't see your video, empty picture guy. All right, where's your fucking argument? You don't have one. That's right. So you just want an admiring audience. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about admiration. I don't give a fuck about these comments. I would just disable them if everybody else didn't get all panicked about it. I couldn't give a shit about hearing the good or the bad. And no dialogue. Well, look, I'll dialogue with a fucking argument. You're not even making an argument. You're arguing about how I argue. I mean, is there any real point in doing that? Why don't you argue with the specifics of the fucking subject? But no, instead, you jackasses will argue my hair's too long, or the argument's too much arguey. There's too much argy in the argument. I mean, fuck you, jackass. So, who do you think you are? Obama. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that's just so funny. Obama. Well, whatever. Let's not even go into it. But, man, you just have to throw the politics in there, right? Obama. Wait. So this guy looks a little cranky. I think the LL community should respond better. Yeah, it'd be nice if they responded better. When it comes down to people's responses here, I was really taken aback. Well, to me, it's pretty standard operating procedure. To think he probably picked the most intelligent responses to make what makes me want to shed a tear. I'm not surprised. Yeah, well, it is that way. And right below you is the comment by this fucktard with a little Hitler mustache and blonde-haired wig with an ugly face. I don't know whose face it is, though. But yeah, what an asshole. Yeah, to be blocked. No doubt. It's going to happen any day now. And so what does he say here? All this quoting of text thing, fuck this bullshit. This is just horrible. You have whole fucking threads and quotes. It's just, no, forget it. No, I want to go out gracefully like Do Not God says we should. Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to go out something other than gracefully, idiot, when it's your time to go. But, whatever. There's some people who are masochists as well as sadistic. As you say, education my butt. He is so superior, he should have compassion for us animals and let us do our thing. But look, I said, it's not about you doing your thing, and it's not about how it affects me. It's about the practical impact on this thing called sentience in the universe, all right? And you can disregard it and pretend it doesn't exist, but it does. And it's the most valuable thing in the fucking universe. And the fact that you don't give a fuck makes you worse than an animal, because I think an animal with just a grammar school education could figure out that harm is bad. Harm is bad. You see, it's not hard to figure out the word harm. Yeah, that's a bad word. That's a bad thing. Let's not make harm. Yeah, let's avoid harm. Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, I mean, a fucktarded animal could figure it out. You're less than a fucking animal. You have every opportunity to understand the simplest truths, and instead you just reject them, and instead, put a wig on and a Hitler mustache on. Whatever. He's power hungry and nothing else. I don't know how exactly you get that. I'm argument hungry, maybe. I'm hungry for somebody to make a rational response. But I don't want no fucking power, fella. Okay, it's not my business. All right. Yeah, whatever. That's just the game you play. You turn everything into some sort of hierarchy game or something. I'm just explaining a reality that I see. You can accept or reject it. I see a Hitler mustache and a blonde wig, and I say, asshole. All right, that's all. It's not a matter of a power trip. It's just a matter of observing the obvious. You are a fucking idiot. All right, well, the next guy has that ape picture. He's pretty cool. I like that guy, but I won't bother. It's already running long, this video. So, that's it for version 3, volume 3. 3 fingers I held up. Pretty smart guy I am. Sometimes I hold up 4 when I mean 3, but accidents do happen. Alright, so that's it. Long video. 22 friggin' minutes. Yeah, everybody's gonna go into such a goddamn panic. Oh my fucking god, it's a 22-minute video. My brain will explode. You people are really, yeah, really.